I call this regular meeting of the Mountain View Town Council to order on June 15th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. Will you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Mitchum,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Algeen,
Here.
Councilmember Bailey,
Here.
Councilmember Davis,
Here.
Councilmember Debner,
Here.
Councilmember Lasher,
Here.
Councilmember Randolph.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. So moving on to approval of agenda and conflicts of interest declarations. I'm going to remove, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to request to table the consent agenda and remove item 7.
Thank you. We will table the consent agenda and remove item 7.
Oh,
Any discussion or questions?
can I just ask why we're removing number 7?
That's an administrative decision made by me today.
And we'll bring the consent agenda back at the next meeting. Other than those, do any council members wish to remove an item from the consent or remove an item or make any other requests for additional modifications to the agenda? If so, please raise your hand to be recognized. Moving on then to, well, we will consider the agenda approved as we adjusted it then. Moving on to the conflicts of interest question. Any council members wish to declare conflicts of interest regarding anything on the agenda? If so, please raise your hand to be recognized. So I will, for the record, I don't believe that I have a conflict of interest on the matter of the agenda, item 12, which is our council discussion regarding the release of the magistrate's findings, because there's no financial impact to me one way or the other. However, I will disclose for the record that I am the respondent on both of the complaints named in this agenda item. And so if council wishes to discuss whether or not that rises to the level of conflict, you could take a vote on it. Otherwise, we can just move forward. Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is our public comment. A person who wishes to give public comment must sign up and provide their name, residency status, and contact information prior to speaking. Anonymous comments will not be accepted. All virtual public commenters shall provide the required information prior to being given the floor by using the chat feature in Zoom. All virtual public commenters must have their camera on for the duration of their comment. The clerk will invite you to be a panelist, which will allow you to turn on your camera, so please accept that invitation. Each individual may speak only once during public comment period. All council members must listen attentively to public comments, but no response shall be given to any public comment except the chair or the council by majority vote may direct staff to follow up on a comment. No person shall be allocated more than 3 minutes. Our clerk will call on people in the room who have signed up and then people who are attending remotely. And please come up to the mic to speak into the mic so that everybody can hear you. You have the floor.
No one has signed up in the meeting chambers. Is anyone online wanting to make a public comment? No one has raised their hand.
Thank you. So we're going to skip our consent agenda as it was tabled and move straight to agenda item 7, which is our land use code.
That was
But
removed.
we were also going to move past that. This is going to be a quick meeting. Moving to agenda item number 8. That packet information starts on page 22 and our town attorney has the floor.
Thank you. Okay, so this agenda item comes before you on Councilor Bailey and then the majority of council agreeing that this ordinance be looked at to try to bring additional clarity into the procedures for removal. So you'll see in your packet that the ordinance is striked through with new language and italics to be able to show you very clearly what's changing. And I'll go through at a kind of a high level of some of the changes, and really they primarily start in that subsection C in the ordinance in the middle of page 20, or at the bottom of page 24 on the packet. So this first bullet point talks about the actual process to initiate a proceeding, and it's sent to the town clerk. Upon being sent to the town clerk and that written complaint stating the grounds for removal based in this ordinance, the town clerk forwards it to the respondent, and we have specific amount of time frames in there now for each one of these procedural steps to be accomplished. It would be then scheduled for a public hearing, which would be quasi judicial, and it would be public comment would be taken in accordance with our council rules of procedures, which has specific rules around public comment for public hearings. And importantly, there would be a hearing officer that would be appointed by a majority of town council to preside over that removal hearing. So unlike every other item we pretty much have where the mayor is the presiding officer, in this case, a third-party hearing officer would be the presiding officer. Moving right along, there's not any big changes in that section 4 related to the time period for opening statements. What we did remove is that witnesses previously were not permitted to be called. Now we have rules around allowing witnesses to be called, but their testimony must be under oath, and then the total time frame for direct examination and rebuttal and cross for those witnesses. Moving on to that subsection 6 now. This talks about the rules of evidence for those or for the proceeding and how evidence will be determined to be relevant, which will be by the presiding officer. And importantly, in the subsection 7, a new addition here is that both the respondent and the complainant are required to recuse themselves from the deliberation and the vote on the matter. In that subsection 8, what's affected there is that it would require basically all the other sitting members of council, 4 members of council, to be able to effectively pass a removal. Okay, and I think that's it. Although I am noticing that one of the considerations that I had an earlier draft, and I don't know why I removed, and Councilmember Devner flagged it for me before the meeting, is that the evidentiary standard might not be clearly stated here. Yeah, so in that subsection 8, one additional change might be to state that the evidentiary standard is by preponderance of the evidence presented.
So moved.
So that would be, or I don't know if we're quite ready
We're
for
not-
a
Oh, not
motion.
ready?
We don't have a motion yet.
Once we get there. So I guess before we get to a motion, are there any questions on any of these changes or anything else?
Councilmember Bailey?
I'm assuming that the hearing officer is the person who would be a timekeeper for the proceedings.
Yep.
Okay.
And also bring in the witnesses under oath.
I think the question about the evidentiary issue, would the hearing officer also be responsible for those decisions?
No, that's a great question. So the actual decision would ultimately be for council. So if you insert a preponderance of the evidence standard, which would be my recommendation, it would be council who has to determine based off all of the evidence presented in the hearing, whether good cause was established by a preponderance of the evidence. So a majority plus 1. Or
Okay.
did I say that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Is council responsible for saying what can be evidence and what can't be evidence?
No, that's another great question. So that would be the hearing officer. And so it kind of removes council from that role in order to allow council to really sit as the decision maker and not make any other types of evidentiary decisions.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Can you give us a definition of moral turpitude in regards to complaints?
Yeah, where are you seeing moral turpitude actually?
Yeah,
point
it's
me
in
to that?
section 2.02100, and it's B, number 1, the following shall
Oh.
constitute good cause for removal.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So it's a conviction of a felony or a crime of moral turpitude. I think that there is case law that specifically states the type of convictions to which are considered moral turpitude. I would have to do a bit of research to be able to give you a solid list. But my understanding is that it primarily goes to things of a nature of like forgery or bribery or like laundering, those types of crimes which are impactful to a custodian of public funds. But I can give you a more precise definition if you'd like.
Thank you. And can we talk about the recusal? I'm sorry, I'm looking for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you direct? Can you show me the-
It's
There's
in,
a question I have.
Yeah, I think it's in that subsection 7. Town council shall deliberate, blah, blah, blah. The respondent and complainant shall recuse themselves from any deliberation.
So when it says the respondent and complainant shall, is that should they? I mean, they should recuse themselves. When we say shall, we're,
that means must, right?
they must, right? They must recuse.
Right.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yeah, Yeah.
May is like can and shall is you have to.
Yep.
Must.
Okay, thank you.
That's my understanding.
good question.
Councilmember Debner?
I also had a similar question as Mayor Pro Tem Algeen about the definitions for malfeasance and misfeasance.
Yeah.
And then nonfeasance is not listed.
Yeah, so in researching this process, whoever drafted this originally actually took it straight from the case law. So there's like fairly old case law in Colorado that limits how a municipality may institute removal proceedings. And this list comes sort of directly from the case law. And malfeasance and misfeasance, I can get the sort of exact phrase that the courts use, send it to council, and maybe I can have that ready for second reading. But based on memory, I believe that malfeasance and misfeasance of office is of such a nature that it actually affects your ability to conduct your public office. But I can provide that for second reading, if that's helpful. Okay.
Councilmember Randolph?
So the complainant would be the person that wrote out a removal procedure. And then they would not be allowed to vote.
Correct. Yeah, the complainant is the one bringing the complaint forward. The respondent is the one subject of that, responding to the complaint.
So it's not the person that submitted the complaint, it's the person that, like I did before,
You
I
would have
would
been
be
the
the
complainant
complainant?
in that, yeah.
but that's invalid now because you rewrote this. Is that
I
correct?
think it's the same still.
So this is a new proceeding that would apply going forward for any future removal proceeding, if and when adopted on second reading. And any removal proceeding that came for would have needed to be adjudicated under the rules in place at that time. So essentially, you're creating new rules for this going forward once effective.
But is the definition of complainant and
Oh,
their
yeah,
role
sorry, it's the same.
different?
Yeah, the definition is the same. The role is slightly different in that they must recuse themselves now. That's really the only difference
Okay,
in role.
does that answer your question?
Yep.
I believe Mayor Pro Tem was next and then Councilman, no,
No.
Councilmember Bailey?
So I understand like the complainant would be person who is bringing forth the cause for removal as the complainant in this scenario, but there are like complaints from council members against the mayor. How does that work in this process?
Yeah, so any proceeding within the public hearing, you would have to be unbiased and impartial. You sit as a judge in a quasi judicial proceeding. So to give a different scenario of a different type of public hearing to which the same types of due process constraints apply, when you are working on a rezoning, say it's for your neighbor's property and you really don't want them to be upzoned, but that's what the application is for. that personal judgment absolutely cannot play into the public hearing. You have to remain impartial and just apply the standards in the code to the application. So same thing here.
Okay.
Does that?
So in other words, as long as you are able to, even though you've submitted a complaint, you're able to set that aside and judge based upon the findings and what's evidence put forward in a removal hearing.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Any other discussion or questions? Motion.
So when I was getting thrown off a few meetings ago, or whatever the process was, what hearing that was called?
Removal.
For the removal hearing, my attorney was telling me that it couldn't be done because it was against the Colorado Constitution. So does this like align better with the Colorado Constitution, or is that still Colorado Constitution still gonna supersede this, or?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I think the attorney is incorrect. So for two reasons. One, in in the CRS, specifically in state law, this process is actually enumerated for statutory towns. Because we're home rule, we don't have to follow it. And so for statutory towns, and I can point you to this too, it's literally like 2 sentences. And it says something to the effect of like, any elected official may be removed for good cause shown at a public hearing or something to that effect. And so it doesn't actually have a proceeding related to that removal process. And so home rule municipalities that essentially adopt that proceeding and put it into their local law typically try to bolster the proceeding in state law. So I guess I would just say I disagree on the law, and I'm happy to provide sort of some additional case law and the CRS citation.
Yeah, no, I just, I feel like we've had a new council for 6 months and we've worked on rules and removal procedures and stuff. So it's like, I just want to at some point like stop working on it and start working on like town stuff. So I just want to make sure that like this is the final copy. We're not gonna have to like update it because then it's still not aligned or whatever, so.
Councilmember Devner?
So it mentions, you can call witnesses, and, I guess I'm kind of curious if there would be any advantage to having like witnesses determined in advance, so that way there's no surprises at the hearing, and like a document discovery or doc exchange kind of process.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point. You could potentially either call that out directly, say all witnesses must be given 24 hours notice before the hearing, before called. You could do it that way. Another way of doing it is to state more broadly that the hearing officer has the ability to set rules around hearing testimony. I'd probably go with the former, just so it's consistent among all removal proceedings and different hearing officers aren't applying different rules, if you were going to do one. Because you're right to say that without having that rule in there, much like a typical court proceeding, if they're in the room, you can call them.
Councilmember Bailey?
Austin, how do other towns typically handle that witnesses and the cutoff and these proceedings?
Yeah, it's a great question. I looked at a bunch as a part of
Sure
this
you did.
process. And I'm happy to provide some examples too, if council would like. There was a really broad spectrum, and I went on like the very far end of trying to create a very robust proceeding. And I talked to several attorneys across the state who have either recently done a removal hearing or sort of are in the back ends of litigating one right now. And that's sort of how I arrived at the draft ordinance you have in front of you. I would say some municipalities kind of had what we had before. They essentially just like copy, actually some municipalities just copy state law, which is like 2 sentences. Some went a little further, which is what we had. They basically copied state law plus the primary case that interprets that state law. And that's what we've had for however long. And then others have gone further either by resolution, which is what we did previously, or by ordinance. And so to me, it seems safest to do it all by ordinance to ensure that every party has the same information going into any potential hearing and that all hearings are consistently applied.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for staff or discussion? Councilmember Debner?
Yeah, I guess I'm curious what council's feeling is about adding in a timeframe for the document sharing and witness identification. If anyone else had an opinion that they wanted to share.
Councilmember Bailey?
I personally would be fine with that. I feel like it makes sense and it seems fine to me.
Do others have a?
What is the purpose of sharing it?
Just for preparation and efficient order. So that way witnesses are identified. The hearing officer, I imagine, would probably appreciate that. Especially if, depending on how much evidence, it takes time to like read through, some types of evidence. So I think it'd be to an advantage for like a fair due process to define that.
Could you subpoena people?
Yeah,
Would the hearing officer do that?
the hearing officer would sign it, yeah.
Sign off. Would issue the subpoena,
Mhm.
yeah. Mayor Pro Tem?
I support that.
I support it also, yeah.
Councilmember Davis, do you support that idea theoretically?
Yes, I do.
For the record, Councilmember Davis is attending remotely. His camera is not on, but we know he's there because he's talking to us. So where would you want to insert that into this ordinance? Do you think?
Yeah, I think we'd probably do it in that subsection. Sorry, one sec. Subsection 6, probably.
C6?
Yeah, I think so.
Uh-huh.
And I think it will be something to the fact of like, actually, probably one up, probably 5. Sorry, that's where we talked about witnesses. So
Mhm.
probably in that second sentence of subsection 5, adding something to the effect of witnesses must be given notice and identified at least 24 hours before the hearing, or something along those lines.
Okay. Are there other issues for discussion about other possible amendments?
Did we want to add that preponderance of the evidence standard?
4 hours, where would that go?
That will be under subsection 10.
C7,
Sorry, 8.
Yeah.
C8, the town council, so how would we write that?
Yeah, so I think it will say something to the fact of, and based on such evidence determine whether based off a preponderance of the evidence to remove blah, 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 blah.
And based off,
A preponderance of the evidence. Let's see.
to remove.
Does that make sense, or do you want me to?
Such motion shall clearly state the good cause for removal, and then another sentence after that, or? as part of
No,
that?
so sorry, actually, as a part of that first sentence, it will read, the town council shall review the evidence presented at the hearing and based on such evidence determine whether by a preponderance of the evidence to remove the respondent office.
Okay, maybe it'd be better if we just say, because there's 2 things that we're gonna ask for a motion to, that approves this with these 2 amendments. Are there other potential amendments? And then we'll have you read those out, because you've
Okay.
got a good handle on it.
I just have a
Councilmember
question.
Randolph?
So is this going to be a separate hearing or is it going to be part of a regular meeting and then all the paperwork goes in it like it did last time?
So it's up to council. I believe that we stated in here, it could be at a regular or special meeting, but there are specific timeframes. So it says the town council shall hold a public hearing at least 14 days after service of the complaint on the respondent. So you don't have a final time frame, but it still has to be reasonable within or after that 14-day period. We have to give at least 14 days.
Well, I'm just asking because the response before was huge and it made the packet huge. So I'm just wondering if it's going to be included in the packet or if it's going to be a separate item.
Yes, it will definitely be included within the packet. It's really just a determination of whether council would have it at a general meeting or special meeting, to which
Okay.
call a special meeting, we have those rules within our rules of procedure.
Okay.
Councilmember Bailey?
I was just curious if you could speak to why the new 9, like why that changed from the previous 6 when it talks about the how, but before it was like, upon removal from office, the mayor or council member shall leave the dais and not take part in any further discussion, but that changed. To like no later than the next regular meeting, but deemed effective immediately, but no later than the next. So what's the point? I guess what is, if the person has been removed, what's the point of continuing, and what's behind that change? I'm just curious.
Yeah, good question. So the first sentence in subsection 9 is saying that if removed in accordance with these rules, that's effective immediately. In other words, that language from before actually still does apply. I just didn't say it again because it's, in my view, not actually necessary.
Okay.
If you're removed effective immediately, then you must leave the dais at that point. And
I was-
then the next sentence is saying that at the next regular meeting, the town council will adopt findings of fact related to the hearing process. In other words, they will actually put in writing how the public hearing and council's determination related to it is essentially justified based off the facts and the law and council's determination and vote.
And who puts together those findings? The hearing officer?
It may be the town attorney, but it
Okay.
may be someone else at council's election. So as a part of that sort of removal ordinance or removal motion, your town attorney will probably flag for you, please clarify who you'd like to prepare the written findings of fact.
Okay.
Councilmember Devner?
I guess one thought that I had was, I guess it seems maybe a little strange, just from my perspective, that we would vote, the removal would be effective immediately, but then the written findings wouldn't come until next meeting.
But you probably, I don't know how else you could do it, because to be able to actually draft the written findings of fact, you have to look at the testimony and basically establish an order. So just like in a typical court proceeding with a judge, often they will make several decisions and orders from the dais on the record, but their written order won't come until after, and it will be sort of a substantiation of everything that happened as a part of that proceeding.
And would that be adopted by a vote and resolution?
Correct.
Councilmember Devner?
One other thought that I had is, since this is like a quasi judicial hearing, but like we also are allowing for public comment. Would public comment be considered evidence for the hearing determination?
Yes.
Do we want that?
It's a good question. I definitely waffled on this piece. And basically in talking to some colleagues, what they told me is that it's very custom for every public hearing of every type to allow for public comment. And the risk is much higher for foreclosing that right than just to allow for it, and council to determine whether some public comment is relevant or isn't. For instance, you get someone stating public comment talking about some completely unrelated matter, I'm upset with my neighbor, blah, blah, blah. Well, council will probably determine as the proprietary of what's relevant for the hearing that we're not going to place a high weight on that public comment.
Our charter also requires public comment at every meeting. It's part of our charter requirement.
Thank you.
Just the hearing, it would be required. Any other, go ahead, Councilmember Devner.
I just have a question for clarifying. So on page 25, it mentions it requires an affirmative vote of 4 council members, but then 9 says if a majority. And
That's a
complainant and the other person is recusing.
Right.
So we just want to make sure the numbers are
That's a great catch. We should change majority in 9 to just if town council votes in favor. Good catch. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you raise your hand? No.
All right, where was that again? Sorry.
Subsection C9 says if a majority of the town council votes, rather than if 4 votes or just the council votes.
Yeah, it should just say if town council votes in favor of removal.
So that throughout the ordinance, it's consistent.
Yeah. that's a good catch.
Councilmember Davis, do you have any questions for staff or discussion?
Not at this moment.
Okay. Councilmember Devon.
One last question. So at the very top, it talks about submitting a written complaint. So I guess one question is what's the format of that complaint? And does it make sense to have a sworn complaint or is it just a written complaint? And I guess what a sworn complaint, I don't know if there's process behind that.
You probably don't need a sworn complaint here unless you're really worried about the identification of the person bringing the complaint forward, to which would be probably clarified throughout the hearing process if there was some sort of like mistaken identity behind the complainant. So we probably don't need it to be sworn. It is fairly broad in what types of writing is permissible. Like, does it include sort of all of the evidence or is it a broad claim? And in my view, it should be as specific as possible to be able to give proper notice to the respondent of what sorts of allegations are being alleged so that they can give a proper response in return. In other words, if you just get a complaint saying, I'd like to remove so-and-so, that's probably not sufficient. And in that case, I would think that the town clerk would actually reject it, stating, hey, you didn't actually state the grounds for removal in here and the ordinance requires that.
Thank you.
Yeah, good questions. So I can repeat what I heard as far as the 3 ordinance changes.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then if you repeat them, then I can call for a motion to approve the ordinance as presented with those changes.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think we have 3. One is to add a preponderance of the evidence standard to C8. The second is to add that witnesses must be given notice and identified at least 24 hours prior to the hearing in C8. And then in C9 to remove to remove a majority from that first sentence.
Thank you. So we're looking for a motion to approve ordinance number 2026-06-15A with those listed amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Bailey and seconded. Is there any debate, statements for or against? Councilmember Debner?
I think this is a very good improvement to due process and just fairness. So what we have today in front of us is much better than what we had yesterday.
If it passes second amendment or second reading, yeah. Anybody else? If no further debate, will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Algeen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
No.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. We're on to agenda item number 9. Material for this ordinance starts on page 27 of our packet, and our town attorney again has the floor.
All right, so this one is just removing a section related to what's known as the Human Relations Commission in the town. And that is because that commission does not exist in practice and has not for a very long time. So we're removing it from the code to align with current practice. And then lastly, because current practice primarily is that when we have a new sort of council created, we do so by resolution, and we have essentially like a rubric for how we create those so that they're all consistent.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions from council? Councilmember Davis?
No, not at this time.
I appreciate you bringing this to our attention and helping us get this out of our code. I think it's a good change.
Yeah, sure.
It's this kind of thing. These little things sometimes make a big difference. So thank you for your work on this.
Yeah.
If there's no questions, then we can go, we need a motion to approve the ordinance as presented.
I move to approve the ordinance as presented.
Second.
Any debate, statements for or against? Councilmember Debner.
This is just one part of our job here is doing, helping do administrative cleanup. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Same,
Councilmember Bailey.
same.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Algeen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
No,
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 10. This in your packet starts on page 31 and our town attorney has the floor.
Excellent. So the next two items are related to each other. We have to do them separately per different requirements in your ordinance of what must be done by ordinance and or in your charter related to what must be done by ordinance and what must be done by resolution. So they're related, and I'll talk to the next one as we get to it. But what this one is doing is actually setting the ballot for the special election to be held on November 3rd, 2026. And right now, we're looking at these two ballot questions that start on the beginning of page 34. So primarily, I am hoping that council reads through or has read through these two questions to ensure this actually captures the two policy questions that you would like to present to the voters this election. As a reminder, the first one is related to the governance structure change, moving from a council mayor to a council manager form of government. And the second is related to your boards and commissions and pulling all of that language, similar to the item just before this, out of your home rule charter and allowing you to create those boards and commissions either by ordinance or by resolution as appropriate. And when you scroll down, the attachments there's two different attachments, both of your current town charter. One shows the results of the first question and the other the results of the second question. So it would show a red line of how the charter would read if either one of those questions are passed. One thing to note is that question one really does a lot of sort of clean up related to that issue to make sure everything sort of reads seamlessly as you're changing that governance structure. If both questions pass, you will actually have a reserved within your new home rule charter, and there's really no way to avoid that. It's because we're tinkering with the same provisions. Happy to answer any questions or if council has any suggestions on the wording.
Council discussion, Councilmember Debner.
Yeah, I guess if you could maybe speak about, so I guess one thought then when you get something in the mail and you're voting yes or no, a question could come up of, is this going to cost any more money? Is there any way that you could add, I mean, I'm assuming it has to be just a plain question. It can't be like any statements about financial impact.
Yeah, not here. And I guess if you are presented with those questions with a constituent, it's totally fine per the FCPA for you to educate that constituent to say, hey, like per Tabor, whenever we're raising debt or raising taxes, we have to specifically notice that and specify the exact amounts. So whenever we're doing that, you'll be put on notice within the question that that's something we're doing. So if you don't see it in the question, it's not something we're doing. Is that?
Yeah, that
kind
makes
of
sense.
okay?
Yeah.
Any other discussion or questions? Councilmember Bailey.
You said because they were changing the ordinance, there's no way to do something. You said something about the reserve. Can you elaborate on that
Yeah.
a little bit?
So
Sorry.
if you look at the red line, basically we're tinkering with the same sections. And so in that second question, you're getting rid of what's now Article 8 boards and commissions. And in that first question, it's also going to include that section, but renumbering sections above it. And so the numbering, I can't fix the numbering in this question. And so instead of it saying Article 8 boards and commissions, or preferably Article 8 next substantive section, if both these questions pass, we'll just say Article 8 reserved. Because the content that was within that section was removed, and I can't renumber it within this section because I would then be renumbering a section based off whether a question might or might not pass,
Right.
which would cause other issues.
And you don't want to put both the questions together in one because.
Yeah, so per Tabor, you have to have a single subject.
Okay.
So every question must be related to a single concise subject.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah.
So
Councilmember
that
Randolph?
means the Board of Adjustments and Appeals will go away.
So it will be removed from your charter, and what we will do is have it placed in an ordinance. It's actually already codified in your ordinances. So right now you basically have the same provisions talked about in two different places. The difference being one of those places, the charter, you can't change without voters' permission. The other ordinances, like we're doing right now, and what you'll see in the next work session for the land use code, is that you can sort of tinker with ordinances through our normal 2 reading process.
Thank you.
Good question.
Any other discussion?
I have a question.
Councilmember Davis?
If these are questions, does that happen tonight or at the second reading?
So this
And
ordinance would,
Will we be
Sorry.
pressured to vote? And we'll be pressured to vote.
so I
It's
think I
second
cut you
reading.
off. Could you repeat your question?
If there are questions, does that happen tonight or at a second reading? Because we'd be pressured to vote.
If there are questions from the community about this ordinance, do you mean?
Yes.
Gotcha. So this will have to have 2 readings per all ordinances in the town. So this can change either on first or second reading. Obviously, ideally, I always hope that we sort of flush everything out in the first reading, make it as close to what council's policy direction is. So that way on second reading, we're in a good spot. I don't know if that answered your question.
Okay, thank you.
And ultimately, just so that we're all understanding, passing this ordinance in conjunction with the next one, or the next resolution, simply puts these questions on the ballot at the next election.
Right.
And gives the voters the opportunity to make these decisions. So
Right.
if you have questions from the community about like they don't like the wording of this, then they can vote no on it.
Yeah. And that would be really helpful if we pass tonight and say you get some community folks saying, hey, I don't understand what that question means. Let's definitely fix it before you
Mhm.
pass this finally on second reading.
Councilmember Devner?
I guess regarding clarity of the question, I'm curious what council's thoughts are. Because there's a lot of commas in this really long question. So I'm just wondering how we feel about the question as it is on the first reading here. Because, I'd be interested in hearing ideas for how to reword it.
Councilmember Bailey?
Won't there be blue book information? So there will be sort of plain speak, for lack of a better way of putting it, in the blue book that tells you more information about these questions and what that means.
Right.
What a vote yes means, what a vote no means, right?
Yeah, we'll have that information.
Who drafts that information?
Typically your clerk.
And anybody who's interested in the conversation can form a committee and also add information.
And submit,
pros
yeah, exactly.
submit pros and cons.
Yeah, exactly right. So,
The clerk drafts very matter of fact,
Right.
not advocating for or against blue book information. Members of the community, including members of this council, if they wish to do so, could, following a process, add information to the blue book. Mayor Pro Tem?
If you wanted to be on a committee, and so there's one committee for pros and one committee for cons, how does that work?
not necessarily. So you'll see this in your ballot measures. So for instance, in well, this won't be, you wouldn't have read this, but just as an example, in Denver's last ballot with all the bond initiatives, there was a Denver committee set up in support of all the bond initiatives, and I did 4 statements for all of them. And then there was, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's sort of like a tax advocacy group that was also set up for staying against statements for all of them as well. So you set up those committees per the FCPA, the town's not involved at all.
So there could be multiple
Correct.
pros and cons.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And there's no policing of what those statements say. They could say things like, my understanding of it, correct me if I'm wrong, but they get submitted and they go on to the blue book.
Yeah, I think there's some procedural safeguards on like word limitation,
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the clerk will typically just try to work with folks if they're over rather than like cut them off mid-sentence, but it's more of a decision for our clerk.
So these are just opinions, right? These are not, these could steer from factual information.
Right, so there's 2 sets of information included within the blue book. One is sort of that informational, educational piece that's sort of unbiased and created by your clerk. And then the second piece is really any advocacy group in accordance with the FCPA can submit for or against comments.
Okay, thank you.
So let's get back to Councilmember Devner's question, the reading of question number 1. Let's just read that out loud and see if council wants to adjust that language. Shall the town of Mountain View's home rule charter be amended to change the governance structure of the town from a council mayor form of government to a council manager form of government, meaning, among other things, that a town manager appointed by town council will be responsible for the general operations of the town, including supervising all town departments and preparing an annual budget for town council approval. Are there changes that people would like to suggest to that language? Councilmember Bailey?
I mean, there are a lot of commas in it. I mean, can we have multiple sentences is to be part of this? You can't. That's the reason why.
Yep.
I see.
So normal like paper ballot questions, that's why they're one like huge paragraph, but 1 sentence.
So you could do a semicolon. If
Yeah,
it was
you could
placed
put a
appropriately.
semicolon before meaning. You could drop everything after meaning too. The reason I put that in there and working with our election council is like a lot of residents won't understand the question if you don't put the clarification right in the question.
I definitely want clarification in the question, personally.
Are there specific changes you'd like to suggest?
I could change the after form of government comma to a semicolon. I don't know what that does for you.
I mean, you could do like council manager form of government, semicolon. This means, among other things, that a town manager appointed by town council will be responsible for the general operations of the town, including supervising all town departments and preparing an annual budget for the town council's approval.
Yeah.
It's a little less wonky,
do it that
in my
way.
opinion, but
Is this the same wording that was on the ballot last time?
It was.
It was clear to me on the ballot last time. How others feel about it.
Councilmember Devner?
I do like the idea of a semicolon after government, because then that first sentence then is kind of standalone. I think that would maybe make it a little bit more clear.
Do we want to get head nods on that?
Yeah, let's start with her first proposal was the semicolon there, but also instead of just meaning, substituting meaning for this means, comma. You agree with that as well?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
makes it more
So it
clear.
read, shall the town of Mountain View's home rule charter be amended to change the governance structure of the town from a council mayor form of government to a council manager form of government, semicolon. This means, among other things, the rest of the sentence. So let's go around the table and see if we have to, like general agreement about that. Councilmember Randolph?
That's fine.
Yes.
Councilmember Devner?
I think that
Councilmember
sounds
Lasher?
better.
I agree.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so when we make the motion, we'll include that amendment.
Perfect.
Are there any other Just, yeah, Councilmember Devner?
I guess I'm curious what council's thoughts would be about among other things, because that's, it maybe is a cryptic sentence, perhaps.
Definitely give yourself some squishiness.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I can encapsulate all of the exceptions to those general rules, which you actually have in your charter. So I need some sort of wiggle room legally, so that your future town attorney can say, well, among other things meant that those are general responsibilities, but there could be exceptions. It could look different. It could look more particular, less particular in different situations.
Do you have any suggestions for other like compliant ways that would, other than among other things? It's like brainstorming.
How does the among other things phrase strike you in a way that seems like a negative?
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's hard because you can't encompass all the changes in a single question. So like, I definitely see that perspective of needing something. But I guess among is not necessarily common speak language. Then again, we have the blue book, so I guess I'm okay with it.
Councilmember Bailey?
I mean, I guess you could say to include, but then you have to restructure the rest of the remaining parts of the sentence.
I think you'd still need something along the lines of saying like,
To-
it's not an exhaustive list.
Right, to include that a town manager. I mean, you say, this means yeah, it requires an incomplete rewriting of the second portion of
Is
it.
it the word among doesn't feel familiar to you?
Well,
Or you're worried that it might not be familiar to other people?
yeah, I guess one option is maybe could we kick among other things to the very end of the question? Because. Sure.
What about along with other things? I played with the idea of putting it at the end when you made that suggestion, just in my head. And when I read it out loud in my head, it became more confusing. Not because then it sounds as if you're saying you're asking the voters to approve this thing, this very specific thing, but also these other little things that aren't mentioned.
It's a very fair point.
Councilmember Bailey?
I mean, I could see the among other things being at the end. This means that a town manager appointed by a town council will be responsible for the general operations of the town, including supervising all town departments and preparing an annual budget for town council approval, comma, among other things.
But it makes it sound like
It does,
the
yeah.
town manager is responsible for, among
Right.
other things.
That's true.
And it's not clear what it's.
Yeah, that's true.
Councilmember Randolph?
I think we should leave it as Austin wrote it. I think
agree.
he's the expert.
I'm good with that.
Okay, so then we're looking, question number 2, is everybody comfortable with question number 2? Which is, shall the current Article 13? 8? Sorry, I don't remember my 3rd grade Roman numeral class. Boards and commissions of the town of Mountain View's home rule charter be repealed in its entirety to allow the town boards and commissions to be created by ordinance rather than requiring a voter-approved town charter amendment. Councilmember Bailey?
The only thing I would say about this one is it doesn't, I mean, I know we're gonna have the blue book and we have some explanation, but if you just read this question, I would be like, oh, they're like, it doesn't, the why, it doesn't come out in the question, much like the why comes out, or the what, you know, in the previous question, even though it's rather lengthy and kind of like a run-on sentence in some ways, but I feel like is there anything we could add to this question that would make it kind of more explanatory? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
But I thought like having it short and concise is part of like making it easier to access.
I get that, but I mean, the same reason why we made the other one more expository is because we want it to be understood what was happening if you just read the question on the ballot and you didn't bother to read the blue book, which I think there's plenty of voters that don't even look at the blue book, to be honest. So if they were just to read this, be like, oh, you want to get rid of all of your boards and commissions, and then and you know what I mean, like.
Created by the town council by ordinance rather than requiring a voter approved town charter amendment.
Oh, yeah, we could do that. Add town council before ordinance, so people
Uh-huh.
understand that better.
So then
Okay,
that's-
yeah, that would be helpful.
Is everyone, yeah, everyone's good with that?
Yes.
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 Councilmember Davis, are you okay with that too? We've got.
Yes.
Everybody, okay.
Town
So,
Council before ordinance.
mhm.
Yeah, it's a good suggestion.
Okay, so, if we don't have any further discussion, we'll be looking for a motion to approve this ordinance with the following two amendments.
Yeah, so on question one, we'd be looking at replacing comma meeting from the start of the second clause to semicolon this means. And on the second question, we'd be looking at adding town council before the word ordinance.
So moved.
So moved from Councilmember
Second.
Dabner and a second. Any debates? Statements for or against? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Councilmember Algain,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 11. Your staff report for this resolution is on page 87 of the packet, and our town attorney has the floor.
So the reason we had to separate this, like I said, is the town charter provides that if you're changing the charter, you have to do so by ordinance. But if you're calling a special election, you must do so by resolution. So what this resolution does is call a special election on November 3rd, 2026. And all of the purposes related to that question are highlighted in the ordinance that we just approved on first reading.
Any discussion? Questions for our town attorney? Hearing none, then we're looking for a motion to approve.
Yes, I have a question.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Davis, go ahead.
Yes. What if the council chose the mayor every 2 years and we had 7 council members?
So that would be an additional charter change question, to which is kind of more relevant to the ordinance discussion we just had. Certainly, we can bring that up on second reading. If not, we'd be looking for a motion to reconsider what we just did.
Mhm. Do you want to make a motion to reconsider and have a discussion about that and go back to the prior conversation, Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
But everybody voted yes, so then they still can, yeah. The
Oh.
motion to reconsider can be heard from only people who approved it, not people who didn't approve it,
Um,
I think.
Let me double check. Because I think you're right in Bob's rules. I know you had to be on the side that you're voting to reconsider for,
Right.
but I can't remember Bob's rules. So it requires a 2/3 vote.
And can it happen at any point?
Let's see here. Yeah, okay, it has to be someone who is on the prevailing side of the decision to be reconsidered.
And since everybody
So,
voted
yeah.
affirmatively, we can have a motion to reconsider.
Correct.
So we want to have Councilmember Davis make the motion to reconsider
Takes 2/3.
ordinance number 2020. Can he do it in the middle of, since we've already moved on to?
Yeah, because there's no other motion
There's
on
no
the
motion
floor.
on the floor, so you
Yep.
can do it. So Councilmember Davis, we're looking for a motion to reconsider ordinance number 2026-06-15C. And if you would like to make that motion, you can just say so moved.
I do. I do. Make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilmember Debner. So then, is there any discussion on a motion to reconsider?
Yep.
Do we have any discussion? Councilmember Debner?
I'd like to hear what Doc has, or Councilmember Davis has to say.
Mm-hmm. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I would like Councilmember Davis to elaborate, please.
Well, if we had council as electors, we
This
could
is just
choose the
motion.
mayor among the council every 2 years.
So this is just a motion to reconsider it, not the actual debate about whether or not to have that, right? So we're just saying, the question is, should we have the conversation about adopting that ordinance on first reading? So we're not
Yes.
actually making the decision about the things that he's suggesting. He's saying, can we go back and have that conversation? And it sounds like both council members who spoke to the issue were saying they're interested in having that conversation.
Yes, I am interested.
So I think we can have we already have the motion. There's no debate on this. So we can have the vote for this. It's just, all you're doing is you're voting to have the conversation or not
Okay.
again.
Yep.
Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Elgin,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Therefore, we're going to go back to agenda item number 9 and have this discussion again and consider it just what happened before is moot.
Correct. So that motion that was passed related to this ordinance is dispensed.
So we do know that there are 3 amendments to what is in your packet that council is in agreement about as of the last vote. But it sounds like Councilmember Davis has another amendment that he'd like to propose or further discussion. Councilmember Davis, you have the floor.
Well, I'm not very good at this, but just as I said, the council could have 7 members as electors and choose the mayor among the council every 2 years.
Oh.
So you'd like to see if the voters would want to approve a competing governance style where the mayor is chosen from among the council members who are elected at large?
Yes.
Chosen by the council. And then if that passed,
You can't,
how would that work?
not well. So basically your question would have to be legally enforceable, have to be a part of this question 1. In other words, you would have to make the decision as a part of your governance change, as a part of this red line to make the change regarding how the mayor's position is elected. Looking at probably a more substantial rewrite of that elections provisions within your charter.
Could it still be considered a single question for purposes of the law? To make a change like that?
Yes, I
in
think so.
conjunction with this, yeah.
I think so.
Mhm. I would worry that the voters would have a hard time with the 2 questions being, because they're 2 big changes rather
Yeah.
than 1 big change.
Right.
But how do other council members feel? Council members?
I think that it would detract from the question at hand, which is about a governance change, not necessarily about how the mayor is elected. And it's possible that a community member might want the governance change, but not support a change in how the mayor is selected, and then that would fail, and that would be, in my mindset, that would not be a good thing.
Councilmember Debner?
I guess I like the idea of leaving the question just about the governance structure, because it's substantially similar to the question that went to the voters in what, 2024, 23?
I think.
23? And that was a whole different council too. So I think if we keep the question the same, that will just kind of, I think that'll be easier for the voters to make their choice in the matter. So I'd be in support of leaving it.
It is one of, I mean, it is a interesting question. Many municipalities do it. Mayor Pro Tem?
I do appreciate the thoughtfulness of that question, and it is intriguing, but I do concur with Councilmember Bailey that it would distract from the governance change. So I'm in support of how it remains.
Let me see if other council members have thoughts on this. Councilmember
I'm in
Randolph?
support of what we had already decided. I think it would be confusing.
Councilmember Lasher?
I agree.
Councilmember Debner, you have the floor.
Yeah, I guess I just had a question for Councilmember Davis. Have you heard from neighbors or constituents that have suggested this idea, or is this something that you came up with? Because I do like to consider it, but I just haven't spoken with anyone who, really gave any thought from it. But it's a good idea.
No, I haven't spoken with anybody. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. I appreciate your ideas.
Councilmember Bailey?
I'm guessing it's too late to like add a third question. I mean, but you couldn't really add a third question at this point.
I don't know how that third question could work together with your first question.
Yeah.
I think you'd have competing, you'd be sued because if unless it worked out like in your perfect world and you're able to anticipate the questions perfectly, if one passed and one didn't, and they're relying on each other, then you're gonna get sued to say the other one didn't pass either. It can't be effective upon the other.
But there's nothing to say that you couldn't make a change like that after you did a governance structure change. Like in a future election
Yes,
cycle.
absolutely.
Okay. So it's not like it's something that we could, if there's council movement for, I mean, we have elections coming up down the line, so that is something that we could always discuss in the future. And I mean, it is an interesting idea, and I appreciate Councilmember Davis bringing it up.
I appreciate everybody giving me a chance to speak on that, but I'm supporting what the council wants and keep the governance change in place.
Okay. So then we are again looking for a motion to approve ordinance 2026-06-15B with the following three changes.
It's just two changes. It's in question one.
Oh, sorry.
Replacing comma meeting with semicolon this means, and in question two, adding town council before ordinance.
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm glad that didn't get put on the floor yet. I read the wrong ordinance number. That's why I had the wrong
Oh,
notes.
yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so can we do a friendly withdrawal?
Yeah.
Thank you. We're looking at a motion to approve ordinance number 2026-06-15C with two changes to question one.
Replacing the language comma meeting with semicolon this means, and in question two, adding town council before ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote? Or sorry, is there any debate? Okay, hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Algeen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes,
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you. So we are moving on to agenda item 11, and we're on page 87 of the packet, and our town attorney again has the floor.
Yeah, and I'll just state again for the record that this resolution is required by your town charter to set a special election and relates to the purposes in the previous ordinance.
Any discussion? Then we're looking for a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any further debate, statements for or against? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Elgin,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes,
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. We're at agenda item number 12. It's 7:40. Are we okay to keep going or do we need a break? No. Keep going?
Keep going.
For this agenda item, we'll be asking the council to make a decision regarding the release of the magistrate's findings for 2 complaints. The first is the complaint submitted by Mr. Brian Carney on February 16th, 2026. And we need council to consider whether or not to release these findings to the public at this point. And it's a simple yes or no question, if I understand it, and should be based on whether the question has findings that contain information rightly kept confidential or not. Do you want to add anything to that?
I think that's right. The only thing I'll add is just in way of background, when we initially talked about this, when we were creating the complaint procedure and the rules, there was some discussion on whether you were going to just do an automatic disclosure of all of the findings, and council ultimately decided that they would like to review each findings as they are submitted by the magistrate in order to ensure that there's no sort of protected information in there that might cause some liability for the town. And at the time, we were really thinking about protecting any whistleblowers as a part of that. So for instance, if a whistleblower was investigated or interviewed as a part of the investigation and had specific, I do not want any of these statements in public, but were an important part of the finding, that would be a scenario in which council might consider to withhold the findings or to limit certain portions of them.
Councilmember Bailey?
Austin, I'm sorry, did you read the findings?
No, but I did talk to the magistrate
Okay.
before she sent them over to me, and she sort of confirmed to me, and I trust her, that there wasn't any information included within the findings that would cause any sort of liability for the town in the way of HIPAA information. And so I sort of trusted her legal advice on that issue and didn't feel the need to sort of double check her work,
Got it.
Yeah, Mayor Pro
but
Tem?
can if council wants me to.
Yeah, we're trying to keep our attorney's fees as low as we can. Mayor Pro Tem?
So moving forward with each particular unique situation, the discussion or the magistrate would say there is a HIPAA or confidential, okay.
Exactly right.
Councilmember Debner?
How would these reports be shared with the public?
Yeah, so typically as a part of a release, like as a part of this motion, you would state something to the fact of council would like to disclose the findings for the complaint submitted by Mr. Brian Carney on February 16th, 2026. Insert typically on the town website or posted on the town bulletin board or whatever by X date. So basically you state where you're going to disclose them. Typically the easiest thing is just on the town website to make it available, and how long you have to disclose them, just given your time to do that administrative work. But it's up to council however they want to do those inserts.
Why would we not put it in the packet since like the complaint was in the packet? It just seems like it would be fair to then have the findings in the packet as well.
Yeah, you could definitely do that too. So say as a part of the next regular agenda meeting, the findings shall be disclosed therein as just informational.
Could we vote, and I don't know if anyone would be in favor of this, but like to release them all unless there's some violate or like some private information? And then if there is, then we could talk about it, but
Yeah.
just release everything. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
no. That just seems like the most transparent way to do it.
Yeah, you can do that.
I'm just curious, if we chose not to make that public, what would that look like?
If you chose not to make any of the findings
Yeah,
public,
what would that look like? I mean,
yeah, so I'll tell you that in practice, you will still be subject to a core request for the documents, and if they are disclosable under Cora, then you still have to release them. However, these documents are specifically sealed as attorney-client privileged until council makes the decision. And again, the only real reason we did that is so that sort of opportunity amongst the attorneys to say, hey, is there anything in here that's going to get us sued? And to have that conversation.
How would the
Okay.
complainant get the results?
you're right. I was just curious about the flip side of that, right?
Councilmember Randolph?
So there's 12 full complaints. As they come in, I guess I don't understand if you wanted to do a removal, how you would do that if you're releasing the facts.
Two separate processes. If a removal proceeding relied on some underlying facts also contained in the magistrate's findings, that's fine. It's a separate proceeding in which you can bring in all relevant evidence per the ordinance that we discussed earlier today. So if there's relevant third-party information to a removal proceeding complaint, then that complainant can bring in that third-party information. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Personally, I guess if I had filed a complaint and it came back, I would like to know what was going on. That's just my.
Right, yeah. And for how long we would discuss that? You mentioned the website or in the packet?
Totally up to council.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's up to the council to make suggestions about where and when it should.
And to Councilmember Lasher's point, you could do a blanket decision today, like, hey, going forward, so long as the magistrate does not flag any items deemed confidential or privileged, we would like to release all findings within blank amount of time I've received from council on blank medium.
Mhm. That would save attorney time and it would get the results to the complainant as quickly as possible. Councilmember Bailey?
If we were to go down that road, I would want something in the findings that stated that that the magistrates had reviewed that
Okay.
and that there was a statement that, kind of like you check the box that I reviewed the ordinance. I want to make sure that the magistrate has thought through that and is like checking a box basically. That we wouldn't want released.
Yeah, I'm sure we can make that happen.
It sounds like we've got some support for that concept. Councilmember Devner, are you speaking to that issue? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would also be in support of that, just some affirmative from a legal perspective that the contents aren't going to put the town at risk. Or, personal identifiable information and kind of it's, some findings could have sensitive matters. And I think it's important that a legal perspective kind of stamp that.
Sure.
I just really think we should be like very transparent, it's like the findings are in there, the town's paying for it, it's like, they have every right to know these findings. And so I just think we should be very transparent and, put all of them out, unless there is some kind of HIPAA protection or whatever you said, personal information, you can like black out or whatever, but I just feel like it's, very fair to have the findings after, the accusations are put out in a packet for the whole town to read.
Right, regardless of the outcome.
Oh, 100%.
And those, then if they were confidential, they would be redacted? Is that any confidential information?
I think we could decide that today. So if you just want to do, again, some sort of automatic disclosure protocols, you could add into the motion today to state, in addition to the other things we've mentioned, if the town attorney or magistrate finds that there is information that is required to be redacted or remain undisclosed per any relevant law, that they shall make the redactions and then release the board.
Great.
So then, are we generally in favor of that? Are there other things that you'd like to add to that concept? Councilmember Devner?
Yeah, I'm very much in favor of this. I would agree with Councilmember Loescher about transparency is key. And particularly because this is, a public process with both the complaints and the findings. That should be available to the constituents.
And so would they be released via the website or the packet? How are we picturing that?
I guess, because the original complaints were in the packet, I think it would make a lot of sense to have the results also in the packet, for transparency. That way, like, no matter what the outcome of these findings are, it's just clear and transparent.
So for the future ones, have them be in the next packet. And for these, how would they get disseminated? These two findings have already been, well, we're talking about just the first one right now. This has already been, released to the council. It feels appropriate to release it to the complainant immediately rather than letting them wait for the next packet. Councilmember Bailey?
Yeah, I think the findings should go to the complainants immediately, and then the responses can be included in the next council packet. I mean, unless you could put it on the website, but then I would feel like you'd need to do all the complaints in packets and on the websites to be consistent. And I feel like that's just a little bit, I mean, we could do that certainly, but I want to be consistent across complaints.
At a recent meeting, we asked staff to the packet for the record with the new information about one of our public comments. Could we ask for this packet to be updated with these two sets of findings?
Sure.
So that way it's consistent moving forward. Say that it gets sent when it gets sent to the council, it also gets sent to the complainant if the complainant is not a council member, and it goes into the packet at the next regular meeting or special meeting or workshop.
Okay, so
So
just
we're-
the next meeting.
Next-
period.
Next meeting. I
Yeah,
thought you were saying
yeah.
I thought you were updating this particular packet when it gets posted, but I would not be in favor of that just because we wouldn't have the minutes from the meeting. This meeting wouldn't be posted. So I feel like it has to go in the next one, but that we should definitely send it out to the complainants immediately.
So let's see let's get a picture of everybody at the table. Mayor Pro Tem Bailey is saying, I'm sorry, Councilmember Bailey is saying that for these findings, they would get sent to the complainant immediately after the meeting, and then they would go in the next packet, and future findings, they would get sent to the complainant at the same time as council with any redactions made by the magistrate themselves and put in the packet at the next meeting. Are we generally, let's go around the room and see if we're in favor of that or if you'd like to change that.
No, I'm in favor of that.
Yes, in favor.
Very much in favor.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
So then we're looking for a motion to that effect, since I just summarized it all.
Could you repeat it again? Because
Yeah.
I think there was one in there. So the statement regarding the confidential and privileged information from the magistrate, I think you
Yeah.
might have missed that in your summary.
Right, I did. So we're looking for a motion that approves.
Let's see if I
These
can get it.
steps.
Yeah, so for future findings, there will be a statement from the magistrate, if true, that there is no confidential or privileged information included. When confidential and privileged information is included, it will be redacted prior to release. Otherwise, all findings will be released to the public automatically without requiring council vote. They will be included in the next packet meeting. And the complainants will be sent the findings immediately.
I think that gets it. So we're looking for a so moved on that.
So
moved.
I need one person. I'm gonna say the Mayor Pro Tem
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Any discussion, further discussion? Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Algeen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher,
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. So that also impacts
I'm
the
sorry.
second one that we were gonna consider.
It needs some-
Yeah, so.
Or you
this-
can just say, I think you can just, actually, can you?
Yeah, so the second complaint that we're addressing tonight was submitted by Mr. John Hallinan on March 22nd, 2026. And we need council to again consider whether or not to release the findings to the public at this point, and how and when, where. Again, a simple yes, no could suffice, and it's based on whether or not the findings contain information rightly kept confidential.
And I think you can probably just have a motion from council saying that the previous motion related to the Brian Carney findings shall apply to this and complaint and all other findings going forward.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Algeen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey. Member Davis,
Yes,
Councilmember Debner,
Yes.
Councilmember Lasher.
Yes.
Councilmember Randolph.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. So we are at agenda item number 13, which is our future meeting agenda. It begins on page 90 of your packet, and our Administrator Campfield has the floor.
The agenda as it is submitted left only the consolidated land use code work session on the 8-3 work session. I think because the content is very, very dense, that is the only discussion we will be able to have for that meeting. We're looking at our zoning project for July 7th, engineering rules and regulations, a prevailing wage discussion, and a discussion about the packet process. Our July council meeting will have to include the IGA with Jefferson County, which I've already submitted the intent to have an election with the county per the deadline. And I will have the IGA from them in time for that meeting. It has to be submitted to the county by August 16th, so I would like to get it in earlier rather than later. We're working on a franchise agreements with Google and Alloy, resolution for support of the governance change, and a communications policy we're going to be bringing back on July 20th, when I can have the red lines from the council members. What does that look like?
That means, yes, that means everybody who has feedback for Administrator Campfield about the prior version of the communications policy, please email her your suggestions so that we can bring it back. Councilmember Devner?
Is there a particular due date that would be preferred from your perspective?
I think that's probably gonna happen with the packet process discussion. But the sooner you can get it to me, the better.
Any other questions for Administrator Campfield?
Or at this time, I would recommend parking lot items for me to implement in the future meeting agenda.
Councilmember Bailey?
I know I asked for you for the contracts, the list of contracts, which you share with me. Thank you. I noticed that it's outdated.
It is.
Can we bring that to a parking lot discussion and get that up to date?
Mhm.
And do we have a list of like all the computers and like just the town owned?
I was able to get some of that information from onset. I did have a few vendors submit questions on the RFP. So they did send me some information. Let me compile that. I can forward that to the board after the meeting for you guys to review.
Like a list of all the equipment that the town owns?
Yeah. I feel like we don't have a consolidated list.
Do other people agree with that staff direction? That's a time consuming piece of work, unless I'm misunderstanding it. Do you
I
feel
mean,
like
in
it's
terms
30
of every
minutes?
computer that we've ever purchased and things like that, that would take up a lot of time. If that's the direction council wants to go through and it would be part of the new IT process, then I would need that formal direction from a majority of the board.
I mean, is it, and to what extent, like, is it, we own 7 of these pieces of equipment and 10 of these particular types of laptops and 4 PCs, or is it, we own this PC, which has this number, personal identifying number that was purchased on, how extensive of a list do you?
I mean, I think we should, as a city or a town, we should know which people have which computers and what's the serial number. I feel like that's a basic tracking purposes. And if we don't have the information, that's
IT does know that.
okay.
Onset knows that.
And they can
100%.
provide us that?
They can provide that.
I just feel like that's a basic tracking of
Onset.
town
definitely-
property.
Yeah.
So
Onset definitely has that. So that's just asking Onset, but you're not talking about like, here's the, like, we own these police bicycles and we own these body cams and we own these pens, like.
no,
how-
I mean, I'm not gonna, I don't want to really count pens and stuff, but I mean, like, I just feel like we should have, I feel like we don't have as much knowledge of, it's all in disparate. It's not like all collected, it's not cohesive, and it's just, I feel like we don't really know what we have.
I think we do. I think the council doesn't have eyes on that level of minutia because Onset has been contracted to do that. But if we need to get that information from Onset and share it with council, is that what you're asking for?
I have a list of all that equipment. I can forward you the email. I would just recommend not sharing that with the public if it goes to the council, because that is part of the information that they sent me for the RFP response.
And it's security stuff too. Like we want to,
I just want to make sure we have the information.
we most definitely have that information. Council doesn't have the information in front of them because it's administrative workload. But if council wants to have that information, we can email it to them. It just, I need to know what the parameters are for what the request is, because that changes how much time it takes. Councilmember Randolph?
So I guess I was surprised when I got my laptop. I've had laptops before from businesses that I took home. I had to sign a form. I received this laptop number, blah, blah, blah. And I would return it upon whatever, my term was up. I think that would be a good thing to do to help track. Or is that something Onset knows I have this computer and the number? Because I
Onset
felt,
definitely knows this,
and they know the number.
100%.
Okay.
I am 100% confident that Onset has that information. Because they need to, for instance, when you call up and you need support from them, they need to be able to reach into your computer and join you online. And they can do that to assist you.
But
So
they
the
did
only way
that,
they know that is by,
they did that by my email. They
Yeah.
didn't do that by my computer, so.
no, your
They did it
email
by
is
my email, so
associated
it's
with
tied
your computer.
Would the
Those are-
council like me to forward the information I have from Onset
Sure.
with regard that we're not sharing this with the public?
Can I ask a question?
Just a minute, we had somebody else in front of you. That sounds like the general direction that we're going. I want to call on Councilmember Debner first and then Councilmember Lash.
I guess the question that comes to mind is, what are our policies on asset management?
I don't think we have. Okay. That's
That
Go
was a
ahead.
whole nother staff directive project. We do have an asset management list that I and the accountant work on because that's part of our audit information. But as far as how granular you want to go is a different discussion, right? So capital asset management, because it has depreciation schedules that we have to follow and things like that, but how detailed do you want me to take this?
And to what purpose?
I mean, I guess from my experience, there's a certain dollar threshold where assets
Mhm.
above that dollar threshold are tracked and tagged.
So I think this is another policy discussion of having an asset management policy that I would have to bring to the board. And that way we can identify clear parameters of what this board wants staff to do in terms of those things.
Instead of nickel and diming it, like, let's get a list of this, let's get a list of
So
that. That
that,
sounds
I
like a good
think,
idea.
is another future agenda topic.
Right.
So when I've
Just
done,
a minute, I'm gonna call on order.
I'm sorry,
Councilmember
Brittany.
Lasher.
I was just curious how, like, sending all this out, like if it does have like a security risk for the town, or like if people could like hack into my computer or something like that. Is that a concern? Cause I thought you said security, or someone said security risk. So what's
I
the
said
security risk?
confidentiality.
Oh, okay.
So meaning if I'm sharing this with the board, it needs to stay with the board.
Right. I just didn't know if, like, if you gave them my like serial number or something, if like someone that's great with computers could like hack it or something. Was my question, because I don't really think that's a very smart idea to do, to like pass out.
I mean, that's on the IT side, the firewall protections and things like that.
I would ask onset perhaps before we share it and see if there's a security risk with sharing that.
I mean, the scope of what they use had to be redacted, but it wasn't, you know, the actual list of all our computers and serial numbers and things like that.
Councilmember Randolph?
In my experience with asset management, if you can't depreciate it, it's not worth putting on the list. So that simplifies,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't track every little thing, but you want stuff that you can depreciate.
Mm-hmm. Especially with such a lean staff, that's why I asked to what end, like, what's the goal here? The goal of asset management with a staff this small, like, we want to be really careful what we ask and not just have it be for the sake of, well, we think we should have a list of this. It's always going to be a moving target. And I have complete confidence in Administrator Campfield's ability to manage our assets. But it sounds like we could ask onset for their security assessment of releasing that list that is easily available, release it to council only, and then put asset management policy on our parking lot as a future agenda schedule. Does that sound like that solves the problem?
Yes.
Can we go around the room and agree or disagree with that staff direction? Councilmember Randolph?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Administrator Campfield. Any other discussion about our future agenda schedule? Councilmember Debner?
Yes, question for Ms. Campfield. I was wondering when the RFP for the IT services might be anticipated on the future and my involvement in the committee.
I am still kicking around the idea of whether or not we have to have a special meeting, which more than likely we're going to, because they are terminating the contract on the 29th, the 30th. The RFP closes on the 29th and we have to turn around a decision very quickly. So I am going to work with Austin and the mayor in our postmortem to decide if and when we can have a special meeting to approve the contract for a new IT provider.
Councilmember Randolph?
I'm wondering when we're gonna do the events discussion, because we were supposed to have that on this agenda. And a finance committee, and if we're still gonna cancel stuff, I think we're getting really close to where we need to figure all this out.
That was going to be part of my staff report tonight.
Okay. Cool. You go for it.
He's got it covered. So we're looking then to move on to our staff reports, speaking of, and we'll hear from Chief Nesbitt first.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just, I don't know if you guys read through the packet, but some everybody want to note over the last, well, June was kind of a busy month. So on June 3rd, members of our department and along with the Lakewood Special Investigations Unit conducted an operation at 5430 West 44th Avenue in reference to an illicit massage parlor / business. With their assistance, they sent in an operative or undercover agent. They were solicited for a sex act. We entered the building, took 2 females into custody. One was subsequently charged with prostitution, solicitation for prostitution. The other one was released, kind of pending charges. It was kind of thin at the time. We're still looking into the second female. There was also a search warrant executed on the building the same day. Several items of evidence were recovered and later booked into evidence. We're still looking through some of those things. The property management company of this building has been super cooperative. They had zero issue terminating their lease based on what we found inside. The town actually issued, we issued the owner, the leaseholder of the building a cease and desist letter. Don't know really how far that really got us, but it had some teeth to it. The leasing company through their own legal process actually helped out a ton. I actually followed up with them today. The locks have already been changed. Most of the stuff's been removed from the building. So it is officially closed. It actually closed almost a week ago. I just think our guys did a great job. We worked really well with Lakewood. It was almost like a kind of a seamless thing. We had been at this for quite a while, just kind of watching the building and the comings and goings. It just could not have worked out any better. This is from what we're hearing from Lakewood, just from some of the stuff recovered there. There's multiple jurisdictions involved in this whole thing now, so it's much bigger than us. I just want to give everybody that was involved in this, they just did an outstanding job. I mean, they stayed late, worked a lot of hours. It worked out really well. And again, I mean, it's kind of an ongoing thing. We'll share what we can as it comes in. But does anybody have any questions?
I was just,
I'm sorry, Councilmember Bailey.
I was just curious, how do we end up working with Lakewood, and getting their special investigations unit on that?
I can't really go into a lot of great detail, but there was a link between our business and a business in Lakewood.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember Debner?
I was just curious, when I was driving by, I saw a little piece of paper on there. I haven't walked by to check it out yet, but could you maybe describe that a little bit?
So the one letter that's up there, we put letters on all the locks. That's the cease and desist letter. And then the other is from the building management company where the lease has been terminated. Yeah.
Thank you. And very much appreciate the collaboration and
Yeah.
just job well done. So
Thank you very much. Worked out great. Yeah.
Any other questions for Chief?
I have a question. I just didn't know if we were short-staffed. This weekend I left my garage open, and every other time I've done it, like they've always shut it. And then my neighbor did the following night. So I watched my cameras and no police drove down the alley Friday or Saturday night. So I just didn't know if we were short-staffed or if they were busy, or why, like, no, because I always used to see them like every 15 minutes.
I can double check. I know, I mean, clearly we're short 2 right now.
Okay.
But I can double check and see if they were on something in that particular. Do you know about what time it was open?
It was open all night. It
Was
was
it?
from
Okay.
like 4 p.m. till
Yeah.
10 a.m. And then I don't know about my neighbors, but she just happened to be like, did your cameras catch anything or whatever? So then I looked and was like, oh,
I will check on it and follow up with you.
thank you.
I've never had anybody shut my garage door, and I've left it open all night, but nothing's ever been stolen, so thanks.
guilty too.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief Nesbitt. Move to our Administrator Campfield's report.
So in this packet, you have the April month-end financial statements. I did want to speak to that a little bit. So a couple of expenses have incurred since April. And I think we need to have a mindful discussion of what's going on. Right now, we are dealing with 3 different legal buckets. So we have your general administration legal bucket, which for the first few months of the year were extremely high because of all the administrative changes you guys were making. The second legal bucket is your complaints. And then the third legal bucket is litigation. As of right now, we've seen a downward trend in your administration legal. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we're not writing so many ordinances, changing a lot of administrative laws and procedures. And internally, me taking on a lot of the resolution creation, the staff reports for the council packets, things like that. Your complaint legal bucket hopefully will have a definitive end, right? Once we get through these 12 complaints, then we will not be incurring these costs any further. Your litigation legal bucket is kind of the big unknown. We don't know how long that's gonna last or how long the expenses are gonna incur. As of right now, year to date, between the complaints and the litigation, it's about 55,000 that the town has been billed. Administratively, we're still trying to find ways to cut costs. So the way I've restructured the public works and the administrative department, going from 2 employees to 1 full-time employee in one department and 2 employees to 1 part-time and 1 full-time employee, we're looking at about $90,000 in salary and benefit savings. So in the immediate, I don't think the bleeding is as bad as it is, but we're gonna have to have a very candid discussion of further budgetary cuts that we need to make moving forward because of the unknowns of what we're gonna actually be billed for the remainder of the year. So I think either I get specific direction tonight, or we bring this back in a workshop and go line by line and talk about the budget and how we want to make some changes.
Questions for Administrator Campfield, Mayor Pro Tem?
Is there anything that we could sell? I mean, are there things that we're truly not using? And I'm going to use the example of the electric bikes. That if that's something that we could sell where it wouldn't impact our safety, or is there other items that we can consider, even possibly liquidizing, that's not a right word. Liquidating a property, right?
I think that honestly has to be part of the bigger council direction, right? I don't think staff has the authority to liquidate a property,
Okay.
correct?
Definitely.
In terms of the e-bikes, that would be a department head decision by your police chief. Like the used equipment that we don't have, I mean, realistically, you're probably gonna get a quarter of what you paid for, so you're looking at a couple $1,000.
Is that better than keeping it and paying for storage?
I mean, that's a council direction.
Okay, but
I don't have the authority to sell things that the council has purchased.
I'm just asking. And then also, what about, well, I mean, events, right? You don't go to the movies when you can't pay rent.
I know that there was a directive to stop all discretionary spending. I need specific council direction this evening if you guys want to cancel all the events for the rest of the year. And I need a collective direction.
Councilmember Bailey?
Well, I feel like it would be helpful to, I mean, I know it's tedious, but I feel like we kind of need to have line by line go through the budget
So
kind of meeting where that's like the only meeting and the focus of the meeting.
the option is to schedule a budget retreat much sooner so we can start working on fiscal year 27 and trying to project what the end of 26 is going to look like. That is one option. We could, I mean, we don't have any council meetings until the 7th, so we could figure out a date and a time to try to have something scheduled.
Councilmember Randolph?
I'm concerned the longer we wait, we could get in trouble. I think we need to make some decisions about the events today. We can move forward and then look at smaller stuff.
I think the events decision is something that you guys could potentially make this evening. I think anything larger than that, we're
Right.
gonna have to have the line by line budget discussion.
I hope everybody heard Administrator Campfield say that this is an anticipated issue, right? As of our current financial statements, the balance of what the savings have been has offset the balance of what the expenses were that were unbudgeted. So as of right now, our fiscal house is in order. But because Administrator Campfield is looking ahead, she can see, she knows things are coming in, and she's seeing the possibility that will not be the case in the near future. Is that accurate?
Well, and not to speak of specifics, but if June ends up being the same cost as May, right?
Mhm.
You're looking at another 35-ish thousand in legal fees for the two unanticipated, unbudgeted expenses that are happening.
And for the year, you said $90,000 in savings from the staff rearrangement.
Yes,
So we're talking about unbudgeted funds in the 80 to 90,000 range, and revenue saved that were not revenue. It's not revenue, but it's savings.
but that's this snapshot right
Right,
now,
right.
not being billed any legal fees for June.
Right. Councilmember Debner. You were
I
next.
just,
Councilmember Debner.
I had my hand up before he did.
I'm
but
sorry. I
go
thought I
ahead.
called on you already. Go ahead.
No.
Councilmember Randolph.
He can speak.
Either one of you.
Go for it,
Welcome
Ryan.
to have.
Yeah, I guess I just want to express a lot of appreciation for the administrative savings and improvements you've identified. I mean, that's huge. 90,000 in salary savings. That's like a really big deal, especially in our critical time where, we're going down the river of life, and it feels a little bit like rapids when we don't really know what's around the corner. I guess I'm in support of a line by line review and like a fiscal retreat. I think, when budget starts to get tight, the best way is just really go line by line and look at what you can cut. And then I do have a question. When it comes to events, those are considered discretionary spending currently? And
I would put it under that.
Yeah.
Yes.
okay. Yeah, I guess I think we should really anticipate, the unknown spending and plan for that. So I think we should continue the status quo, unfortunately, of, holding back on discretionary spending like events.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm just curious, do you have any idea of what last year's summer event cost was?
Do you want to break down the entire cost for the town picnic?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to put something up on the screen.
No, the camera doesn't track properly.
It would be interesting to know what we spent and what we would be considering if we chose to have an event, what that would cost.
I can pull some reports and find out the exact dollar and cents for the town picnic last year.
We also need to address the yard sale, which is more urgent. We should be getting, if we are gonna hold the townwide yard sale, we should get flyers on doors like tomorrow. If council approves that, Administrator Campfield and I have started to work on that, and I get it on doors in the next few days so that we could advertise it, get people to sign up, and get signage done. And then there's also a movie night in July, and then the August event. So those are the three events that we're talking about. And I'm Councilmember Bailey.
The yard sale, what are the costs that are typically involved in that? And do we require a permit for a yard sale? I don't think we do.
Typically, we do require a permit, but the idea of the townwide yard sale is that you waive that requirement. So there is no permit.
So you could just get the word out theoretically, maybe in like like the Gazette, that you're waiving the yard sale thing, and that's literally all you need to do?
Well,
Or,
the Gazette article for this month has already been published.
oh, right, yeah.
So right now, the cost for the yard sale, if we did door-to-door flyers to advertise it, would be a few $100s. But I think the rest of the cost that normally incurs for it, we could probably find a way to not incur for the event this year.
Could we just get stuff on social media and on bulletin boards and in packet and that kind of stuff and let word of mouth spread? And if people, and because I feel like if people have, we did advertise at one point that we were having this townwide yard sale. I mean, I don't think we need to go door to door with flyers necessarily.
And as of right now, I think we have 4 residents signed up for a yard sale.
Yeah, you don't get people signed up to participate if you don't help get the word out. You can't just say, we're gonna have a yard sale and people sign up. You've got to really work to get people to join in. So the cost is the flyers to have people sign up, and then what the town actually advertised that we would do when we approved the yard sale back in November 25 was that we would do the signage and the advertising. So it's the getting people to sign up, and then it's a sign for their yard so that people can find their yard sale. And then we post it on yardsales.com and Nextdoor and Facebook and all of those places. I'm sorry, there was somebody who had her hand up before you, Councilmember Randolph.
So I need clarification. There is no permit required for a garage sale?
There is a permit required for a garage sale. The town-wide yard sale waives that permit requirement.
Can you please recheck that? Because the same conversation was a couple of years ago and I don't believe a permit is required for garage sale.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought there was a limit to how many yard sales you could
3 a
have,
year.
3 a year, and that you needed a permit. I think people have come in and applied for a permit. so.
I was gonna post it on my Facebook and put signs up in I don't think there should be a lot of expense to it. I could see it being posted on yardsale.com.
Mhm.
But I don't necessarily feel like I need balloons or anything. I mean, or signs. I was gonna take my election signs and put brown paper around them and put garage sale. If
Yeah,
anybody wants me to help them,
Yeah,
I
it's
can
just,
do that.
it's just from the perspective of the town has for the last, year said the town's gonna have this yard sale and this is what the town provides. And so if we are not gonna provide that, we need to communicate that to the residents who are not at these meetings and in this room, that that's not what we're gonna do. And so that communication is just, for me, from my perspective, a fundamental responsibility that we have as a town to the community. If what council says what we're gonna do, but we need to communicate that.
Well,
So,
the sale's in 10 days.
right. which
I've
is
been
why
working
it's
on it for a month.
Mhm.
It's really hard to pull stuff together in 10 days.
Which is why we need council direction tonight. Mayor Pro Tem?
How many, do we know off the top of our head how many residents have chosen not to receive flyers? So that we're not printing a flyer because that's a common complaint that I get from my neighbors. Is that I signed up, but I guess it doesn't matter. I'm still getting flyers. So do we have an active list of how many residents do not want flyers?
15 houses?
Yeah.
15 houses have requested not to get flyers.
Only 15. Okay.
Only 15?
I don't have the exact.
Yeah,
list with me
thank you
right
for
this
that.
second.
Councilmember Devner?
Yeah, I guess, having the town purchase signs, I view that as discretionary spending. I think it'd be very affordable to communicate over social media. And really, I mean, we're 12 blocks. So if the whole town's having a garage sale, we don't all need a sign in our yard to advertise for it. I think, anyone who knows that the whole town is having a garage sale, social media, Craigslist, whatever way, they would just drive around and look for houses that have things outside. And I
agree.
I have a question about, do we have to register? Like, I guess, what's that process?
No, you don't have to register. And explicitly in the past, what we said was, if you do register by a certain date, then your address would be included on a map, which is then shared and distributed throughout town, so that if somebody comes to your yard sale, they get a printed map that says, in addition to this yard sale, there's yard sales in these locations all throughout the town. And so that it's a way to like make sure that everybody knows where all the yard sales are. But if council doesn't want the printed map, you know, and many people participated last time without being on the map. Do we have, I noticed you looked up our garage sale code. Do you want to share what our code is regarding garage sales? Do people need a permit?
I did not see the permit requirement. I mean, it's arguably considered under your business license, but I don't think it is. I think, just your provisions in your zoning code regarding yard sales would be applicable, which is mostly the temporal restrictions.
What does that mean?
That it's a maximum amount of days per year, 3 days per year. That there's certain hours related to when the yard sale may be conducted, and hours related to the signage has to be removed, that kind of stuff.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'd like to make a suggestion, rather than doing flyers door to door, we could, social media, of course, but couldn't we just make an exception and put flyers on every light post? Wouldn't that be a way of sharing that information?
Councilmember Bailey?
Aren't there like some sort of regulations that against posting on like telephone poles and whatnot?
Yeah,
I mean,
you
people
don't-
all do it, but if we were a municipality doing it, I don't think we could do that.
Yeah, you don't own
Oh.
them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if it's a facility that you actually own, do you own the streetlights in town? Yeah,
I
probably.
think so.
Okay, I think
No.
CDOT does, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't
Don't want to do
own
that.
the property to which you'd be putting a sign on.
And we do enforce on that as well.
Right, also it's probably a violation of your sign code,
It's
so.
a violation of our code. Councilmember Randolph?
So I've done garage sales all my life. My family's done garage sales all their life. You put it on yardsales.com and Craigslist, and you're gonna get people coming if you say community.
Can you ensure that you're speaking?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did it again. If you put it on yardsales.com or Craigslist, you're gonna get people coming. There are hardcore garage sale people out there that look a week ahead, figure out where to go, and they will come. It's like Field to Dreams, they will come.
Councilmember Bailey?
I feel like we could do like the bare minimum, and since apparently we don't have a permit required anyway, we just put it on, like what Councilmember Randolph said, put it on those websites, put it on town social media, town website, and that's it. And like just say the town of Mountain View has people that are going to be having a yard sale, and we're small enough that people could just drive around. It wouldn't be very hard.
I think a middle ground would be I could put the news blast on the website and email it to the community list as well.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's great.
Great idea.
Okay, so we're not canceling the yard sale, but we're not spending money on the yard sale. Is that what I'm hearing correct? We're just spending staff time, minimal staff to post it. Can we have a verbal agreement to that staff direction around the table? Councilmember Randolph?
Yes.
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 Davis? Councilmember Davis, do you agree with that staff direction? We might have lost Councilmember Davis.
He's muted. I don't know.
Oh, are you muted perhaps?
Not muted.
It says that, oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong one.
Okay, well, we still have majority council. Let's move on. So we're looking at the movie night now, whether or not you want to spend any money on the movie night. Sounds like you want to cancel the movie night because it's discretionary spending, given our current situation. Let's see agreement or disagreement for that staff direction going around the table. Councilmember Randolph?
I say cancel it.
Cancel.
Cancel.
I agree.
Cancel it.
Councilmember
Cancel
Randolph?
it.
Okay, thank you. And now we're talking about the town picnic, which is in August. That's maybe a conversation that we could punt. Since we're gonna have a line by line budget retreat that would allow council to understand and look at the budget more closely. Would that seem right to people? Or you want to just move forward with canceling the picnic as well?
I'm open to having a discussion, but I would like to see what historically we've spent on it.
Same.
Okay, so we're talking about staff direction to understand more about what we spent on the picnics, the annual picnics for the last several years. And then we'll schedule the budget retreat and make that decision at a later date. Does that sound right?
So I guess the question for council is Saturdays are kind of difficult to get people head down due to life and other things. Because we have 2 weeks in between another meeting now, would council be amenable to a 2-hour discussion on a Monday evening during a normal council time?
Yes.
Strong
Yes.
agreement.
Would you prefer June 22nd or June 29th?
I prefer the 22nd.
22nd.
I prefer the 29th.
I'm open to either.
29th for me. I have preference.
Councilmember Davis, do you prefer the 27th or the 29th?
29th.
We've got 3 for the 29th, 2 for the 22nd, 1 would be go either way. Councilmember Debner, will you be either?
No, I was.
Oh,
A 29th. There we go.
I'm gonna be out of town, but.
so we have the majority of council has agreed to the 29th, but we will lose
Would-
one council member who's not available.
Wednesday evening work? I mean, I'm trying to do this quickly so we can get moving on this, but if I have to have it July 13th, that's 3 meetings in a row.
I'm gonna be out of town July 13th as well.
13th?
Isn't that what you just said?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I can maybe, can I just email you tomorrow? Maybe I can move my flight to the 30th or something.
I mean,
But you could just do it on the 29th, like I don't need to be there. If everyone else can make it.
will you be in the air or is this something you can join via Zoom?
I need to check my flight. I think I might be just landing around that time,
Okay,
like 6:30. Can I just email you tomorrow?
yeah.
What if we did it as part of the workshop on the 6th?
So does that mean that I have council discussion to punt all the other discussion items to put the budget discussion with the land use code workshop?
Because nothing on the 6th right now is, other than we've got the zoning project, which is important and doesn't get budgeted, punted, but the other 3 discussions, they're really not urgent, and this is urgent.
We could move those 3 discussion items to the second meeting in July.
I prefer the 29th. I'm not here on the workshop.
But I prefer the 29th.
And I
can
think
do the
it's important.
29th.
So, and I don't know if I could zoom in. I'll be out of the country.
You're already missing the workshop on the 6th?
Yes.
Okay. And Councilmember Randolph, you prefer the 29th. How about you, Councilmember Devner,
I prefer the 29th.
over adding it to the 6th?
Yeah, it'd be a lot, it's dense material on the 6th.
Mm-hmm. Well, we would be reducing the items that are on the 6th. We would remove the items and just keep the land use code and the budget rather than having all the other and move it over to July. The July meeting.
We have 3 for the 29th, but we haven't heard from.
I'm sorry, I'm still waiting for
Sorry.
Councilmember Debner to respond.
Yeah, 29th would be my preference either way.
Okay. And Councilmember Lasher? It sounds like you can't make the 29th, but the 6th.
Well, I can maybe make it. I'm gonna see how much it would be to change my flight, but I will email tomorrow, but just have it on the 29th.
So then I think we're hearing staff direction to schedule a budget workshop on the evening of the 29th. Is that correct? Can I have verbal agreement going around the table, starting on this side, please, Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
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 Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
I think the last item I wanted to bring to the board was the discussion about a community town hall for the land use code update. I think maybe having something on the evening of June 24th, which is a Wednesday, but it's after hours where people are off work and they can come by town hall and ask questions about the land use code. June. Because we're getting to the point where we're gonna start the consolidated meetings and try to bring this for approval, and I think the residents might want to have an opportunity to have some one-on-one discussions about what the update actually looks like in practice and things like that.
I thought we were thinking about having that as part of the mayor and council community forum on June 20th. Since that's already scheduled.
Isn't it a holiday weekend though?
Yes.
It is.
So it might be hard to do that.
You want to cancel the mayor and council forum? I mean, that's already scheduled, so however you want to do it, but that's been on the calendar for a long, long time.
I
months.
think my thought process is because Friday's a holiday, we're closed Thursday due to the holiday, it would be easier to hold it next Wednesday. Just
Mhm.
because I don't know how many residents would be leaving town for the 3-day weekend.
So on the 24th,
Mhm.
at what time of the day?
Like 6:30 at night.
At town hall?
Mhm.
How does everybody feel about it? Councilmember Bailey?
I'm out of town, so unfortunately I won't be able to attend because I'm out of town for work that week.
24th works for me.
I'm a TBD. I have to figure out.
24th works, and I think it's better to have it on a weeknight than a weekend over the holiday. And people will have things they want to do, so weeknight would work after work.
24th works for me, and thank you for bringing that up, because I think residents have asked several times to have some sort of an input. So thank you.
And Councilmember Davis?
This is June 24th.
June 24th at 6:30 town hall for a forum to help share the progress on the land use code project.
Well, I was planning to be out of town, but I guess we can make exception.
I mean, the goal is to get the residents to the table, right? To invite people to come and participate in that conversation.
I think I can make an analysis of all the changes we've gone through so far. Have that there for the residents, and then what I can do is I can write up a report of common trends of concerns or comments that I hear and provide it to the board. So that way they have that information while they're having these discussions at the table before, if
Yeah, I mean, I would also just encourage residents to come to the workshops. I get like if Monday night never works for someone, then making available different time is a good opportunity. That makes sense. But even if you can't come in person, you can still submit written comments. And so we want to see that. We want to hear from residents and still have a lot of opportunity to give that feedback. So
Yeah.
my spiel.
Yeah, no, I second that. Are we providing refreshments? Are we putting flyers on doors to get people here so that they know about it? How do we want to get the word out? And how do we want to hold the event? Council? Councilmember Debner?
What's the cost to distribute flyers? Approximately 200, I think you said earlier in the meeting.
around 250.
And is that like a half sheet?
Yeah, half sheet.
I mean, we can do a half sheet and that
Mhm.
will save cost.
We could do a half sheet,
Mhm.
even like a little quarter sheet.
It can't be that much because we have 270 doors. And if we print it in-house and do a half sheet, I mean, it can't be that.
We can do a half sheet. We'll keep it as like just an open door town hall that people can come and go and we'll be open for X amount of hours. The land use code information can be up on the TV screen at town hall. And then, we can just start tracking comments as they come in and compiling them for the board.
And having some refreshments.
That's the board's decision.
Councilmember Bailey?
We can also advertise through the, packet email as well,
Mhm.
and social media and all.
Every
website.
time a flyer goes on doors, it also gets emailed to the people signed up. Councilmember Devner?
I guess I don't see a need for refreshments because that would be discretionary spending. And like another event that we have to consider too is the staff holiday party too. Like, is that would be discretionary spending as well, right?
But that will happen post budget discussions and budget approval.
So we should hopefully be in good shape, but it's also still unknown with the 3 buckets of legal fees.
Hmm.
So, and if we need to, we could convert from open bar to cash bar for that.
So I think we're directing staff to do a half sheet flyer in-house to advertise the event and hold it at 6:30 on June 24th at Town Hall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Hear a verbal from everybody.
Yes.
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 Councilmember Randolph?
I said yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Administrator Campfield. There's a lot of work that went into that report and appreciate you. We are moving to Public Works Coordinator Simpson. You have the floor.
I only need to add to what's in the packet that the potholes have been fixed. They ran through the weekend and just finished this afternoon. So all of those have been taken care of. And the street sweeping, hopefully it'll actually happen this time and not get rained out, is going to be the 23rd and the 25th.
Of June.
Yes.
Will we be doing the same spending for that event that we did in the past? I feel like that's not really signage.
Flyers on the cars.
There's
the
flyers
site.
on doors, flyers on the cars, and the physical signs that go on the street that say no parking.
That would not be discretionary. We have to get the cars moved to get the streets.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Always happy to see those potholes filled. Do you have any questions for Public Works Coordinator Simpson? Councilmember Debner.
Yeah, I was just curious regarding the town-owned properties, if you could just give council a little brief update on status. I mean, I'm assuming it's status quo.
Not my department.
Update as to what?
Well, I guess maybe that's a future agenda item discussion, possibly.
Right.
Okay.
So right now, we are maintaining all the code enforcement, yards, weeds, such on the Ames and the Benton Street property. The second Ames property has been rented since November. So we do have a tenant living there. So now all the code enforcement responsibilities have switched over to the tenant. We're still paying for water service for both Benton and Ames because you have to pay for the availability of service. Once you shut that off, then you have to pay for a new water tap fee, which is much more costly than paying the $30 to $40 a month for the water to be on and accessible.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Public Works? We will move on to our next agenda item, which is the mayor's report. So on the table, you have a table setting, which is a flyer that came from Metro Mayors and Metro Mayor's Caucus. And yeah, I don't think I gave you one. It's about the 250th anniversary of America and celebrating different ways that we can celebrate together. And I thought, especially given the amount of the cancellations that we've done of our events, I think it's really important to not lose track of those community building possibilities and celebratory moments that we could still take advantage of, even though like the town isn't spending money on these things. There are things that you could sign up to do individually, such as you could host a potluck and in celebration of our 250th anniversary as both a state and a country, and you could get your potluck address put on that list and on the map and invite whoever you want. There's just ways to continue to build community and especially mark this momentous year. So I would encourage everybody to look at all the different events there and participate as you will. And I'll also get that out to the residents because I'll probably be doing some of it in the book club as well and various things. I thought it was really creative and a fun thing to look at. We'll move on to our council reports and Mayor Pro Tem Alvin. Oh, I'm sorry, you have a question? For
Yeah,
me?
I was wondering, is this going to be added to the website as a table setting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Alvin.
Thank you. I do not have a council report.
Nothing to report. Councilmember Bailey.
I just had a couple quick thoughts. I'm really happy that we decided to make the findings of the complaints transparent. I just want to take a moment to thank our community members that were involved. And I just want to like respect that this has been a really difficult process, but it really takes a lot of courage really to come out and have your voice heard. So I just wanted to thank people for coming forward and it's important to have, the process I feel like has been very valuable. And I just want to thank our town attorney and the magistrate and our staff and everyone's involvement to have like these important like findings of fact that it will be coming to light and out in the community. And then I had a couple other things I wanted to talk about. I asked our town administrator for a list of contracts, which is outdated. It was I think March 2025 was the date on it. And I noticed that, we're spending money on a website and like social media contract for one of our residents. And I remember I worked really hard on the website before we went over to Civic Plus and I did a lot of work on the website for free. And when we went over to Civic Plus, like I thought, that was going to be staff done. And then I was surprised to see that we're paying somebody additional sums of money to do social media and website updates. Especially now that we have a town administrator, and was hoping that we could move back in that direction. It would also be a cost savings as well. No, disrespect to this resident who's I'm sure done a wonderful job, just that I feels like it should be done in-house. We have the staff to do it. And then I was really surprised also to see the packet be amended so late in the game, and that I believe council had pretty specific direction for the mayor that not be sending out the community emails, and that was supposed to be done by the administrator. So I was wondering why that happened. And I also noticed that in our Gazette space, we're basically advertising for church events, and nothing wrong with advertising church events, but I feel like that's our space, and that space costs money. If they'd like us to advertise in our space, then I think we should be compensated for it, especially since we have a contract with the church and we're paying them money for our meetings. So that's another thing I'd like to talk about. And yeah, that's about it for me. So thanks.
Should we respond to any of the questions about the future? Plus the agenda updates or the contract? Is that, or should we put those on the future agenda schedule?
That's really the more appropriate spot for discussion.
Yeah.
So could we take the items from Councilmember Bailey's report and add them to the future agenda schedule, please? Do we have staff agreement or agreement on council to give that staff direction?
Yes. That's fine.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Thank you. And we're going on to Councilmember Davis. Do you have a council report?
Yeah, I'd like to take the time to honor this. It's my honor to serve on this council. It's my honor to serve the residents in Mountain View. I'd like to give a shout out for our awesome chief of police and his staff, and our outstanding administrator and her staff, and the exceptional Mountain View Town Council. Thank you all so much for including me.
Thank you.
Councilmember Debner?
I have nothing to report today.
No. Do you have a point of order?
No, actually, I do have a bit of a point of order. There's a committee report in the packet.
Oh,
Usually we do the committee reports. Do we do that before council member reports?
I would have considered it part of your council report,
Oh, okay.
but if you want me to call on the committee as a whole afterwards, we can do that. Councilmember Lasher?
I just am really happy that we're, getting the complaints working, like getting them back, and we're being very transparent with them, and I'm just excited to get rolling through all 12.
Councilmember Randolph?
Well, I have several things. I had some residents call me about the church property and possibly purchasing it and selling either the White House or Benton Street. So I think that needs to be a discussion. I don't know if that's a possibility. I know that I went on Jeffco and pulled the information about the church. And it is an open space. Let me find it here. It's open space, Jeffco open space, but there's some categories there. So I don't know if that's something we want to talk about. I also know that folks wanted to know what happened with IT, and so I cored the emails between Onset Charity and the mayor, because I was curious to see if there was anything in there. And what I did see was that at a point in May, Charity's email was being monitored by the mayor, and I'm not sure why that would happen. It kind of gave me a bad feeling in my stomach, because I don't think you should have your emails monitored without permission, and there should be more trust there. So I don't know if that answers people's questions about the IT.
Perhaps you could submit a complaint, if that would be the proper place to do that. If you think that there has been wrongdoing,
Okay.
submit a complaint.
Okay. And then can we schedule some time to talk about the church property or selling properties if that's an issue?
So I think what I'm hearing from several things that have been brought up, we need to put a discussion about town-owned properties on the future meeting agenda, correct?
We need verbal agreement from everybody to add that to the future agenda schedule. Councilmember Randolph? You agree?
Yes.
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 Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Okay, we are on to our last item. There being no further business to come before this council, committee reports. Thank you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that the Dr. Cog report is in the packet, worked with Councilmember Debner on it. He attended both the in-person meeting as well as the online work session. So thank you.
Yeah, it's just, it's a pleasure to serve in that capacity. It's very fascinating to learn about the larger system we have here and that we're a part of, and I'm happy to serve in that role. So keep learning.
There being no further business to come before this council, we are hereby adjourned at 8:59 PM.
Oh,
Thank you, everybody.
One whole minute.
That's why.
Try not to.
Probably wouldn't do this.
Everyone.
Have you ever tried?
I try on my.
That would be
I do it
good.
on my
Let's
neck.
go.
I do it on my neck.